Welcome to the Balanced Hustle podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Sherman, fitness coach for burnt out perfectionist. If you're ready to break free from overwhelm, simplify your nutrition, and make fitness finally work for you instead of against you, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into easy strategies to balance your health with your busy life. Let's hustle for balance, not burnout. Grab a seat and let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad that you're here, and I am glad that I am sitting in what I think now is possibly the coziest room in my house. We finally broke down, and I don't know if I can say finally. It's October 15th, but we broke down and we turned some of the heat on in our house. We're usually pretty stubborn every year, but we turned some of the heat on in our house, and my office is right next to the living room. The current living room heat is disconnected at the moment because we use a pellet stove in that room, but we haven't bought pellets yet. So, long story short, we turned the heat on in my office, and we've just been leaving the door open so it can go out into the living room, and that makes my office the warmest and coziest room in the house. So I just want to work all the time now. So anyway, I'm pretty jazzed about that. And we're going to jump into a fun podcast episode today. And I haven't named it yet, but by the time that you're seeing this, it will obviously have a name. But what I want to talk about today are three major things that have made me feel calm, relaxed, and in control of my fitness journey and just lifestyle in general this fall. So I shared on my story yesterday that I am just feeling so relaxed and just feeling so good going into this fall. And it's not that I'm not focusing on new goals, because I really am revving up on some of my current fitness goals this fall, wanting to accomplish some things before the new year. I've mentioned it before in some of my Instagram posts, but fall is really the best time to get started on these goals that you have. It's better than the new year. The days are still a little bit longer. You're not in the dead of winter. You're not recovering from Christmas and holiday shopping. Fall is really an amazing time to get a head start on these goals. So I'm super amped up for fall. I have a lot of business goals, a lot of fitness goals, but at the same time, I feel more relaxed than ever. I feel in control of what's happening, and I don't feel overwhelmed. Most importantly, I don't feel burnout. I don't feel overwhelmed, and that is due to these three things that I'm going to talk about today. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, my tip number one for you is a scheduling tip, right? So I have always been, well, not always, but recently I've always been a big fan of Google Calendar, and I preach Google Calendar to my clients. I love Google Calendar. There are so many benefits of using a digital calendar versus a paper one. And trust me, I used to be the biggest paper planner girl, right? I had the Happy Planner. If you're planner girls, you've probably heard of the Happy Planner. I had the Happy Planner, which I came across after searching far and wide, comparing all my favorite planners. Found the Happy Planner. I found the Happy Planner stickers. I stickered my planner every Sunday, and I was big into the paper planner, right? And then I made the transition to a digital planner, which I never thought I would like. I never thought I would enjoy. I do sometimes still miss aspects of a paper planner, but let me tell you, the digital planner is the way to go. The amount of times that I move things around, that I update the times on things, that I have meetings that get canceled and rescheduled, it is just the ultimate way to go. And in addition to that, I've always got my phone on me. Pretty much everyone always has their phone on them. nowadays. It's much easier than carrying a separate planner around. You just always have it with you when you need to make an appointment. It's there. You don't have to say, oh, let me go home, check my planner, I'll get back to you, then you forget something. Digital planning is just the ultimate way to go in my book. But long story short, I have been hooked on Google Calendar for quite some time, and I love Google Calendar still. There are a lot of really great perks to Google Calendar. One of those being that it syncs really well with other calendars. So if you have a Zoom meeting, if you buy concert tickets, it will ask you, oh, do you want to add this to your calendar, right? And you can just add it onto your calendar. And that was one of the biggest things that I loved about Google Calendar. However, I have transitioned. I have transitioned to something else that I like even better. I didn't think it would happen. I was pretty hooked on Google Calendar, but I have gone back to a calendar that I actually used when I was in high school that I haven't used in years, and it got a whole new look, a whole bunch of new features, and I am loving it, and that is Time Tree. So Time Tree is an app. It's a calendar app, and this is like my new favorite thing right now. And so much, in fact, that I've transitioned everything from my Google Calendar to Time Tree. Now, what I will say is I don't think that Time Tree is as good at syncing like events. Like if you buy concert tickets, I don't think it's as easy to just add it to your calendar as it is with Google Calendar. That's just an example, something like that. Google Calendar, I think, really has the market there. But let me tell you why I love Time Tree. And so in the past, I used Time Tree. It's a shared calendar, but it doesn't have to be shared also. This is just what I love about it. In the past, I used it in high school. My mom and I used it, and that is how we kind of organized my extracurricular activities. And I believe we put my brother's activities on there as well, although I don't think he used the app. But we could, basically, I could put things on my calendar, my mom could put things on her calendar, and we could see, like, if we had a conflict or if we had something going on that we couldn't schedule something else on top of. So I really love that aspect. So I was kind of looking for something new, and for the reason that I wanted my husband and I to be more on the same page when it came to events as well as household chores and things like that. So I went on the lookout. I downloaded 3 or 4 other shared calendar apps, and I just liked Time Tree the best. And so what I really like about it is it's a shared calendar, and so I can put things on so I have like a family calendar, right? So I have a family calendar, and that is where I put like everything that my husband and I have to know about together, right? So if we have a family event, if I am working, like right now on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm working 6 to 8 at night for coaching, recording this podcast right now. So I put like my work hours on there. He puts, his things that I need to know about on there. And that way we're on the same page about just all of those things. And another thing that we put on there was chores. So it's always seems like I meet other women who struggle with sharing chores with their partners. If maybe it could be anybody, right? Struggling with sharing the household chores is always a huge thing. And it's always been a thing for me as well. Not because I don't have a great husband, but because we have different styles, right? We have different styles of doing the chores and cleaning, and I tend to get stressed out when the house is messy. So if the kitchen is a mess, I cannot sit down and record a podcast, for example. I need to clean that kitchen. I need it to be spotless. well, not like spotless, but I needed to, like, the counters to be clean before I can think, right? And him, on the other hand, he can just, if he was recording a podcast, he would just ignore that. He could set that aside and just do what he needed to do, put that off as long as he needed to, right? So we had very different styles, and for that reason, I was often feeling a little bit more stressed out because that weighs on my mind, right? And then when we go to do things together, like fun things, that's always kind of on my mind, and we didn't have a good routine for getting it done. So what we did with Time Tree is we made a shared calendar, obviously, and we sat down and we split up our biggest household chores. So mainly dishes, laundry, and I think we've got, like, one of us sweeps and vacuums the floors, the other one mops, and I think we got something else on there. I can't remember what it is. But anyway, we split everything equally in a way that we agreed on. And then we put it on this calendar. So now, and what I love about this calendar is it has a widget. I love widgets. So if it's on my home screen, I can't miss it, right? So it has a widget, and each day it pops up and it says who's doing what. So what work events we have, what family events we have, what chores, that we've split up evenly, and it has your little face next to them. And the biggest thing for me with a lot of apps is, like, the visuals. Like, I don't care how functional your app is. If it's not cute, I don't want to be in it. I don't want to be using it. So it pops up with your little face on the widget next to each thing, so it's so easy to see who's doing what, and I love that. And so let me tell you, we've been using this for, I believe, 2 weeks now, and I have been loving it. And when both people commit to this, it's very helpful because, like, we've got nights we split up who makes the dinner. That was the other thing. So who makes the dinner, who does the dishes each night. It's split up equally. So one day we share it because there's 7 days in a week, obviously. But it's like on those nights, I know that the dishes and the cooking are my responsibility, and I do it happily because I know that it's not on me to do it every day. And it's not, again, that he wouldn't do the dishes, is that he has a much higher tolerance of things being messy, right? And now on his days to do the dishes and cook, he knows it's his responsibility. I don't have to nag him. I don't have to ask him. Because for some reasons, husbands, at least many that I have met, like to say, well, why don't you just tell me or ask me what needs to be done? No, that is another list on my to-do list. So, there's none of that happening, and it's been hard for me on some nights where it's not my job to do a certain thing, to just sit back. To just sit and either get my work done if it's a night that I'm working, or just sit and watch TV and know that that is handled. It's something that we've agreed on, and we're kind of just both happier to be doing it because it's like, okay, we're taking ownership of it on these days, and neither one of us is responsible for asking the other for help or being the one that has to pull the other one along. We both have our strengths, and there's things that he prefers to do and that I prefer to do. So it all evens out very well. What this has also made room for is our workout schedule. So we've also put our workout schedule on there. So we're now, in the last podcast episode, I talked about making my home gym. So we're both now working out in our home gym 3 days a week in the mornings now. So I weightlift 3 days a week, and then I am walking the other days, just making sure to keep my activity up, getting some cardio. And also, if you're curious, I don't know if you are about my fitness routine, but I'm also doing pull-ups on the other day. So even if I'm not working out, I'm doing pull-ups because that is a major goal of mine, to get my first pull-up. But anyway, these things are all on our shared calendar. And it's just been like such a weight off my shoulders and has eliminated so much stress for me. Again, because it's all laid out there. We both know who's doing what. On the nights that I have to work, he knows that and he can see it on the calendar. We don't have to ask each other, and it's been so relaxing. And you could really do this with anybody too. You could even do it with a colleague, make this shared calendar. It is a game changer. And then the other thing that we've done is we have, let's see, I've lost my train of thought here, is we have also planned out our workout schedules for the next month. So that is the second thing on my list is if you want to feel relaxed and calm and in control of your routine, you need a plan and you need a schedule. So the shared calendar being number one. Oh, I know what else I was going to say about the shared calendar. I'm jumping around a little bit here. The other thing about the shared calendar is that you can have a personal calendar on it too. So if you, like I have my work, my coaching work as its own calendar within Time Tree. So what my husband sees on our family calendar is that I'm working for 2 hours on Tuesday night, right? What I have on my work calendar is what I'm doing for that work. So whether it's recording a podcast, and I can list my things there and my memos there. So he doesn't have to see all that junk on his side. He can just see that I'm working for 2 hours and that is all he needs to know, right? And then, of course, you can do memos and it's all coming back to me now. You can make grocery lists, to-do lists, all those types of things can also be stored in there for you both to see. So that is the last thing I'll say about the calendar. So jumping back to the second thing, number 2 out of 3 that has helped me feel super relaxed going into this fall is, like I said, having a workout plan. Now, I don't care if you are working with a trainer, if you are working on your own. It does not matter to me. What matters to me is that you have a plan and that you stick with that. So, what I'll do is I will keep the same workout routine for at least 4 to 6 weeks, and my clients do the same thing. It allows you to start with something that might be challenging, gives you time to get better at it, gives you time to increase your weights, all of those things. And that way I also just have a plan for the next 4 to 6 weeks. And I don't have to stop and think before every single workout what the heck I'm doing for that workout, right? So that is another thing that's helped me feel really in control and relaxed. So I have made a workout plan for myself. I'm currently in a phase where I am writing my own plans at the moment. I have worked with coaches in the past. I love working with coaches. But at this point in life, I'm just writing my own plans. So I have written my own plan out as well as my husband's plan out for the next 4 weeks. We know exactly what we're doing. I know when I need to reevaluate that, give us some new workouts, and that is just, it is the best feeling. I talk about on Instagram meal prep being one of the best feelings because you just have food planned and you know what you're eating, and that's the same thing with workouts. Just knowing exactly what you're doing is the best. So taking the time to figure out what you want to do for the fall, whether it's the next month, 2 months, that will help you so much, both mentally, to stay calm, to feel in control, to feel relaxed as you head into the fall, as well as physically, because you will have a plan that will be effective, that you can continue to grow from, and that will continue to challenge you. And you won't be changing things up every day, doing random workouts. We know that doesn't work. Strategy is key. That is the common theme of the 3 things that I'm talking about today, is just optimizing your strategy and your game plan for fall, because especially as, if you're like me, a perfectionist, a type A, overachiever, someone who very easily burns themselves out, strategy is number one. So again, first tip, time tree, the best. It's awesome. Let me know if you try it. Let me know on Instagram. Second tip, having your workouts laid out for the next 4 to 6 weeks, no matter what they are, whether you're going to follow a YouTube program, you're going to get a coach, you're going to write them yourself. Having those workouts laid out is huge. And now the third thing that I want to touch on that also goes along with strategy. Now this can be applied to work, it can be applied to home, but that is when you are figuring out your schedule and breaking up tasks. What I want you to do is break things up into focused periods of work, right? So one way that we tend to lose time, we tend to get burnout and stressed out and kind of overwhelmed, is we start to do like a million things at once. And we like to use the excuse that we're multitasking, right? Like, oh, I'm getting so much done because I'm, running around, I'm filling up the dishwasher and I'm doing the laundry and I'm sweeping the floors and I'm just getting so much done, right? And it's very, very hard as someone with this type of personality that I share to not do that. And I tend to do that. I've done that during work in my business. 1 minute I'm checking the books, the next minute I'm writing content, and then I've got to reply to a client message, and I've got to think of podcast ideas, right? That just ends up getting me nowhere, because by the end of however long I've been working, whether it's an hour or 2 hours, I have just been so scattered. I've gotten nothing done. And I just feel even messier than when I started, right? So when you sit down to write out a schedule, and whether it's chores or work, think about how you are going to focus your time. So I'll give you an example for work and then also for home too. So for example, for work, if you are someone who can kind of make your own schedule and kind of decide when you're doing tasks, group them so that you are doing the same things all at once. So, for example, if I am working at my coaching job, I am doing my programming all in one session. I'm not saying you have to get everything done all in one session, but what I'm saying is if I have a day where I'm working for 2 hours, because again, I have a full-time job, that day is going to be like programming day for 2 hours, right? Or it's going to be picture taking day, or like picture taking half-hour block, right? Breaking things up into blocks so that it's not like, I need to take a few pictures and then I need to, write a couple posts. Again, I kind of went over that, but just having those focused blocks. And at first it's going to feel really, really weird. And it's going to feel like you're not getting as much done as you could because you're not jumping between all these things. But if you sit down and you make a plan for the week or even the day, Mondays I do this, Tuesdays this, and you trust the process, you will have found the right amount of time to get everything done. So for example, again, for me, when I sit down, I think about how long each week do I need to do this, right? And then I put it in there. And then it takes me that amount of time. So if, again, I'm talking about writing content, I can say it takes me, just 2 hours each week to write content, for an example. I will sit down during that time, I will be focused, and I will get a lot more done than if I was jumping around. And if I'm jumping around, it could take me double that amount of time to write the content because I'm jumping through a whole bunch of things, right? So that is where focus work really comes in. How it applies to my full-time job, for example. One thing I have to do there is bookkeeping. I would do all my bookkeeping all at once. So if I know that I've got to enter in this stack of information, I do it all at once. I'm not skipping around. If I'm writing checks, I'm writing the checks all at once, so I don't have to go, get the checks out over and over again or something like that. Breaking things, it doesn't have to be real structured either if your things kind of change on a day-to-day basis, but just trying to do all of one thing at once, if that makes sense. And then how it applies to chores, for example, would be something like doing the laundry. So I'll give you an example of our laundry schedule is, since I've been talking about chores, is that my husband will wash the laundry on Saturdays and I will put it away on Sundays. Now, the overachiever in me wants to do it all. Wants to do it all on Saturdays, right? That's how I get burnout. But by breaking it into those focused chunks, I know that it's going to get done. I know that I'm not going to get as burnt out doing it, and it has its dedicated kind of time during the week. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you want any help. Send me a message on Instagram if you want any help kind of figuring out how to implement this. It can be a little bit hard to explain at first, but it makes a lot of sense when you think about it, because the more that you can kind of focus in on something, the better. So I also think about this with breaks too, because I would rather have you work for, let's say, 4 hours and take a dedicated break each hour. You'll get more work done than if you just worked for 4 hours with no breaks, because then all of a sudden you're scrolling on your phone, you're jumping around through other tasks. It's not as focused time, if that makes sense. So let me know if you need any help with that. But again, those are my 3 strategies, my 3 tips to help you feel more relaxed, more in control of your fitness, of your lifestyle, of your work, everything you've got going on this fall. Fall can be a really exciting time. It feels like a fresh start. But then at the same time, there's some of that like holiday dread starting to come. And I love the holidays, but you start to see all the Christmas decorations in the stores. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to start shopping for Christmas presents soon. New Year's is coming up. I have to come up with my New Year's resolutions. It can be overwhelming, right? So I want you to be able to go into fall feeling in control. Buckle down on your strategies, on your plan right now, so that when New Year's hits, when the holidays come and go, you have the tools and the methods already set up. And we all can stray, right? We all can stray a little bit during the holidays, but having this set up will help you feel more confident when you return to your normal routine, when you get back into schedule, and it will also help you just jump back into the swing of things, whether you take, you have a week or two where your schedule's off, or whether it's a day or two, even an evening. Sometimes just going out for an evening, we all know going out with friends, having a few drinks one evening on a Friday night. Then we come back and on Sunday we're like, man, my whole schedule, what am I doing, right? And then everything catches up to you. Having that plan helps so much, especially like with chores. I'll just hit on this again. I love optimizing chores, everything, household in my life. For example, if my job is to put laundry away on Sunday, and I come back from a busy weekend, if I have to catch up on that on Monday, I know that's like the one task that I missed and I have to catch up on, and it's not like all these tasks are hitting me all at once, if that makes sense. It kind of helps you plan for the inconsistencies in your schedule as well, having that framework to begin with. So again, check out Time Tree if you are looking for an awesome way to organize yourself and your family. Think about getting a workout routine plan in place for the fall. Just set it up and forget it for the next month, 2 months. Like, don't forget it, like, do it. But don't think about changing it. Don't think about doing something every day. Just get it set up, get it going. And then third, think about kind of restructuring your time to just have those focused periods where you can just really get what you need to get done. And it also allows for more breaks because, like I said, you'll be more focused during that time. Let me know if any of this was helpful. Leave me a comment on here. It really helps me out. This is my 4th podcast episode. So we are just getting started, but we are going to keep rocking and rolling. So leave me a comment on here. Feel free, find me over on Instagram. My Instagram is Lindsay_Sherman_fitness. Is that what it is? Yes, Lindsay Sherman_fitness. I'm a fitness coach for burnout perfectionists, struggling with burnout, and helping you get past that and get into fitness, nutrition routines that are sustainable and work for you in your busy life. So, with that, I will sign off for tonight, and I will see you in the next one. All right, bye-bye.